What up, guys? It's Billy with Colorado Sling Blade. Now, listen, this is going to be great. Today, we're going to talk about something that many of you have questions about on the forum, and I took some time to really do a lot of research, and we're going to talk about well, what it is. So, many of you, many of you have got new slingshots over the past 12 months or even 18, 2 years, and have never decided whether or not you're going to put LED lights on the machine. And I'll be honest with you, I've had mine now for 8 months, 9 months, something like that, and it has been a task trying to research all the companies out there, which one's good, which one's not, who has good customer service, who doesn't. And so today we're going to talk about what I decided to do, what I went through, who I decided to go with, and how it worked out for me. So let's look at the big competitors. The big competitors out there are companies like Slingmods. Slingmods sells everything for the slingshot. They have a variety of things, but I mean, let's face it, Slingmods is expensive. A set of wheel lights, they sell Trick LED, which is a huge company, sell Trick LED lights, and a set of wheel lights for them are like $600 plus whatever accessories that you need. And that's just not something that I was prepared to pay for in that price range. So as I start to look at some of the different competitors, you look at David with Joker Slingshot. David has a phenomenal product. He has done phenomenal legwork on designing an app and lights that are bright, work well, and people seem to like them. I've had some good conversations with David back and forth, especially as he was just getting started, and he had a certain level of product that he had, and I'll be honest with you, I'm super impressed with it. The more I look at it, the more he puts out, the more custom pieces he puts out. He does really a great job. So, not knocking, Joker Slingshot on this at all, because I love his product, and that's something you guys should look at. But we're going to talk a little bit about what I went through. And so after I looked at Trick LED and looked at Joker Slingshot, I looked at a company called Lite Your Slings, and I'm going to put the description at the bottom of the link, at the bottom of the page here for you guys. So Kyle from Lite Your Slings, he started this company not too long ago. He's kind of a one-man wrecking crew when it comes to getting his products out. And he doesn't have a ton of products, but he is a distributor for several of them. So I did start doing some research with Kyle. Start hitting him up on Facebook Messenger. We talked back and forth. Was able to call him. I really kind of felt like I was a pain in the side because I had so many different questions and was really wanted to make the best decision when I spent my money on these lights and what was going to work the best. So I continued to talk with Kyle more and more, and I finally decided to go with his product. Now, his claim to fame is that he has the brightest LEDs on the market, and so I wanted to put that to the test. So what I wanted to do was I wanted the underglow kit for the slingshot. I wanted brow lights for the slingshot, and I also wanted the upper lower brows, and then I also wanted some replacement LED bulbs, all of which Kyle offered. Now, a couple times a year, Kyle will do 20% off on his products, depending on what he's got going on. Some of the different sales or different meetups throughout the country. In preparation from that, he'll do 20% off, and so I was lucky. I was able to catch one of those sales and be able to pick up that product from him. So I did. I got kits 1 through 4 of the LED lights, which include the complete underglow kit, the grill lights, the interior lights, and the swing arm light. Now, I wanted the swing arm light because I felt like without the swing arm light, it just wasn't complete. And the whole kit wasn't complete. In addition to kits 1 through 4, I was able to pick up the upper and lower brow accent lights, as well as a set of 4 LED replaceable bulbs for the headlamps. Now, as you guys know, that to me, at least I didn't think so, that the original headlights weren't that bad on the Slingshot, but they weren't that bright either. And so I think that that was certainly something that I wanted to look at if I was going to put LED lights on the front. But since everything else was being switched over to LED, I wanted the headlights to be LED as well. So that's what I ordered. Now, my total cost for everything, sets 1 through 4, upper and lower brow lights, and to replace the headlamps, after the 20% sale, came to like $724. So I felt like I was getting a lot for my money. And Kyle, his company, they offer lifetime replacements on all the lights, which is great to know. It's a great peace of mind to have when you're putting these lights on, because they're LED, so unless you break them, the chances of them burning out are slim to none. Those LED lights last forever, as most of you guys know. And so that really isn't a concern of mine. My concern was customer service. What kind of customer service am I going to get with Light Your Slings? And that is one of the key points with Light Your Slings, is customer service. Now, we're talking about some things that I had some issues with. Now, full disclaimer, I've had long conversations with Kyle about the issues that I had throughout this process. And Kyle has rectified the vast majority of those issues. And we're going to discuss those, but I want to discuss those with the understanding that I have spoken with Kyle. This is nothing new to him. I'm not here to talk badly about his company. I'm here to give my honest review about things. But I did reach out to him about some of these things, and we discussed it, and they've been rectified. So we'll go into those in just a little bit. So the lights came. I ordered them like on a Thursday. He didn't have everything quite in stock. I think he shipped them to me Monday, and I got them on Wednesday. So a week after I shipped them. If he had everything in stock, I would have gotten them in 2 days. No big deal. Shipping's included in the cost. Phenomenal, great. That's awesome. So everything came in, and with it came, and I apologize for not recording all this when it came in and what was in the bag, but I, in preparation, had bought some things. I had they talk about adhesive promoter and how important adhesive promoter is to ensure that the lights stick where they're supposed to. So I went out and bought some of that, and that stuff's a little bit expensive. I'll be honest with you. I bought like a pack of 5 sponges, and they're not much bigger than an alcohol prep, really. And it was like, I don't know, $8 or $9 for 5. So not a ton. I didn't get a ton of them, but so lo and behold, when everything came, everything that I needed, with the exception of just some small stuff, was included. So I had a ton of adhesive promoter that he sent with it. I had a ton of alcohol pads or preps, and I had everything that I needed except wire loom. Now, wire loom didn't come with it. I've got to buy some to make it look a little bit better and just kind of dress it up a little bit. Not a big deal. Wire loom is super cheap. So during my conversations with Kyle, he assured me that this should not take long to install. Now, I ran into some problems, but they were problems that I am going to tell you about, so hopefully you don't run into the same problems. As you know, the Slingshot sits super low, so it is very difficult to get to certain things. Now, you can get to changing the gear oil, which I'm going to do another video about. I've got some of it done. I ended up changing the gear oil and how easy it was, and you don't have to remove any plastic, but that's for another video. So the initial set of lights came 2 along this side, and then I believe 2 in the front for underneath, and then the grill light. Grill light, super easy to to install, not a big deal. The rest of them a little more tricky, and the reason they're a little more tricky is because I didn't have a jack, and I didn't have jack stands, and I didn't have a lift. So 4 lights on the initial kit, and then an additional one for the grill, and then there were some other lights. So about all in all, actual lights, including brow lights, I had roughly 10 or 12 lights to put on. I underestimated how long it was going to take me, be honest with you. So I set aside 3.5 hours the first day to get it done, and I struggled to get the first set of lights on, especially the long ones that run along the front to the back, because they have to go on the inner frame tube, and they're hard to reach, and they're even harder to manage that long of a light, which is, I think they're 102, 103 inches, something like that in length, and you have to you kind of have to peel the tape and stick as you go, because you can't take the tape is so sticky that you cannot you can't put it on and hold it all without dirt and everything else getting in it. So this was done in my driveway. I didn't really have the facilities that some other people might have, and so if you're looking to do these lights, whether you do them with Light Your Slings, or you do them with Joker Slingshot, or you do them with Trick LED, whatever you want, make sure that you have at least some jack stands or a jack that you can use to raise this thing up off the ground. It's going to make your life completely easier. It's 100 times easier than what I had to go through. So that's the first thing. As I'm opening each one of the packages, and they're labeled pretty well, I got a series of pieces of paper that Kyle gave as instructions. This was my biggest headache with this whole setup, was the instructions. The instructions were horrible. I mean, I don't. There's no other way to put it. They were convoluted, and they didn't make a lot of sense, and they didn't describe things very well. And I would say that I spent a quarter of my time trying to decipher the instructions itself. There are no photographs with the instructions, and I'll talk a little bit about why there's not. But I was very frustrated. So I had a conversation with Kyle, and that is being rectified. So hopefully within the next week, his instructions will be completely revamped and will be far easier to understand. And by Kyle's own admittance here, he knows that that's the weak point in the kit, are the instructions. So everything is getting fixed, and that's getting resolved, and hopefully from this point out there won't be any problems. Again, that was my biggest headache, but it's being resolved, so you guys can relax on that. So let's talk a little bit about why there's no photos. So I called Kyle and I said, hey man, one thing this would be super helpful is having some photographs on your instructions, at least starting points of where to put things, because I'll admit to you, I made a mistake, and I put the front set of LED lights where they were not supposed to go, where I thought they needed to go, where I thought the instructions wanted me to put them, but they did not. And subsequently because of the way my driveway sits, I ended up breaking both of those LED lights when I came out of my driveway. I'll talk about that situation in just a second, but that too has been rectified. So Kyle says, you know what? He says, I had photos. I had photos, and a company, I'm not going to mention them because I don't think it's fair, but one of his competitors wanted to sue him because they felt like the photographs that he was taking and the directions that he was putting on there were a copy of their directions, and this company has been in business for some time, and he just didn't have the resources to battle that. So what he did was he deleted all of the photographs from the instructions, and so now it's just a text instruction of how to do it, and that's getting fixed. And hopefully with the new instructions there may be some photos that we can include in that will help along the way. So far my issues were instructions are horrible, don't explain anything that I need them to, and there's no photographs. Now I understand why, and that's being resolved. So as I put everything on, and I'm gonna tell you, like I called, like I think he's an hour. I'm in Colorado, so I think he's an hour, maybe an hour and a half, or I'm sorry, not an hour and a half. He's either an hour or 2 hours ahead of me. I don't know how the time zones work, but he always answered my calls when I called him, and I called him as late as 9:30 at night my time. He always answered, and he always walked me through the issues that I had. So his customer service vastly made up for the directions that we got when I was trying to put these things on. So with his help, I was able to get them installed and everything looked great. Moving forward, I will tell you this. I will tell you that get everything in order before you get started. I just kind of rushed things a little bit, and it came back to kind of bite me on the butt. So it is imperative that you test fit these lights. That means you clean the surface properly, and you actually put these lights on without taking the tape off to see how they're going to fit. They fit extremely well. They are cut to perfect length. So again, it is imperative that you test fit these lights and make sure that they're where you want them to be, because they're all made with 3M tape, and once you put the 3M tape on there, let me just tell you, it doesn't come off, especially if you're using the promoter, the adhesive promoter, and you're cleaning the surface well. So everything got put on. I had to order a fuse block, and I'm using the FZ1 fuse block, which is super simple to install. There are no instructions on how to how to wire this thing, but you can YouTube how to do it, and that's one of the other kind of issues with going back to the directions is, had I not gone on YouTube and done some research on how to install that fuse block, where to make the connections, what wires to connect the accessory wire to, it would have been a little more difficult. The fuse block was probably one of the quickest things that I had to install. Super easy. I may be switching over at some point to the MadStat fuse box because it has switches. The current fuse block is awesome because you can choose it. You can choose it to be hot all the time or hot with ignition. There's only 3 wires. Again, super easy to install. So the issue with the FZ1 fuse block is there is no switch to turn it off or on. Either it has to be hot all the time or with the ignition. Luckily, with the kit, it comes a controller and a remote. So I have mine wired hot all the time, and I just use my remote to turn it on and off. Some guys have had problems with that because of battery drain, and they've had theirs to switch theirs over to ignition powered only. So again, I use the FC1 fuse block. It works great, but I'm probably going to be switching over to the MadStat with the 5-switch fuse block, or the 5-switch panel to the left of the steering wheel at some point. So everything got installed, and then I got a phone call from Kyle one day, kind of during this whole process of installation and so forth. And he says, "Hey, I have an issue." I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" He says, "Well, my manufacturer screwed up. Some of the lights, some of the brow lights that they sent me, it was a bad batch of silicone or something like that, and they had a tendency to turn yellow." He says, I've corrected the issue with them. They're replacing the lights, and so I am going to send you out a new set of brow lights to replace them in the event that yours turn yellow, which I thought was that was awesome, because I mean, I had only had them on for like 2 days, and I don't see anything, and now we're moving on a week or so, and I still don't see any, but I did receive those in a package. Now, in the package, he also sent me a couple of other things. He replaced 2 of the LED lights that I put on the spoiler incorrectly and subsequently damaged. So he replaced those lights, didn't charge me anything, just said, "Hey, I'm sending you 2 new lights. This is where you need to put them." Great. Again, customer service, A+, right? He also sent me, kind of for the hassle of everything, he sent me some lower brow accent lights. Now these are the short LED lights that go directly on the bottom side of the headlight. They're about approximately 8 inches in length. They're thin and they just accent the lower headlights. And I was gonna buy those anyhow, but he sent it to me for free, so that was phenomenal. So I was super stoked about that. He also included a couple more things, one of which being some more had just run out of the adhesive promoter, as well as the alcohol preps. A couple of things that he didn't also send me that he sent me the second time were some of the tie downs for the zip ties. So in this kit, zip ties don't come in the pack. You will need zip ties, but realistically, that's about the only thing that you're gonna need to make this kit work, is some zip ties. And you will need the anchors, the zip tied anchors, which I didn't get any sent those to me. Not a big deal. Put those on. Put the new lights on the front where they were supposed to go, and this thing looks amazing. So here's a quick video of what those lights look like. So basically, after we went through and got all of this installed, the interior lights were, again, I had to call him because I wasn't sure of placement, and it really wasn't spelled out super clearly. And because there's no photos, it made things extremely difficult. So I felt like I was bugging him by calling, but at the same time, I needed him to tell me exactly where these lights go, because some of you may find out that if you ever have to take these lights off, the lights itself will come off with no problem, but the 3M foam tape that's on the back does not come off very easily. Last night when I pulled off the lights that I broke and put the new ones on, the lights came off without a problem, but the tape is on there, and I don't know if you ever have to take it off. I don't know how you would do it, except maybe some Goo Gone and some razor blades. That might be the only way that's going to come off, to be rather honest. So I wanted to be very careful about where I put these lights, because again, once they're on, they're on. Now, there were some other suggestions that I haven't done yet that I'm going to go back and do. One of which is they want you to zip tie the lights on the inner frame rails every so many feet, in case at some point the tape fails and those lights begin to sag. I don't plan on riding my Slingshot a ton in the rain. If I get caught in the rain or whatever the case is, that's fine. But I don't ride mine in the rain like some people. I mean, let's face it, the Slingshot's a death trap in the rain. They tend to hydroplane, and there's been more than one person has lost control. So I'm very, very cautious about riding this thing in the rain unless I don't have any other option. So I know this is a little bit of a long video, and I apologize, but it's important you guys know who you're dealing with Light Your Slings, and what kind of service you're going to get with them. And this is an unbiased opinion. Kyle didn't pay me to make this review. He's not giving me anything that he's not done for many other people out there.
Don't be mean.
And you're gonna get an excellent product. And when he says he has the brightest lights on the market, I haven't directly put him up against Trick LED or Joker Slingshots. I haven't put him up against it, but I would do it any day of the week, because these lights are bright and they turn heads. I got a chance last night to go out for the first time with all the lights on, and I'll be honest with you, it was amazing. Guys and girls and kids were pointing and looking, and it looks super impressive. So maybe this weekend I might get a chance to go out there and run them some more. But I think for what you're going to pay and what's available on the market right now, you're not going to beat this company. Now, whether his product holds up, that's gonna we're gonna find out, right? We're gonna run this, and I know that I've spoken with some people who had some concerns about the longevity of the lights and how long, they're lasting. But I don't see an issue. I believe that if you do have a problem, Kyle will be quick to fix that problem, and I don't think you're gonna have a problem. So if you guys are looking for good LED lights, you're looking for seats, you're looking for rims, you're looking for headlights, you're looking for some interior floor mats or tunnel covers or whatever. He's adding more and more things to his website all the time, and I highly suggest that you guys go check him out. Again, link is in the description. It's lightyourslings.com. Go hit up Kyle, and he's in many of the Facebook groups, as you guys know, and he'll help you out. He's eager to constantly work and do what he can to make you happy. Now, where do we go from here? That's the next thing. So right now I have 90% of everything, of all the lights that he offers as far as the Slingshots go. So the only thing I'm missing is wheel lights, and I think that wheel lights are kind of the final addition to the LED package that I'd like to get. Now, what's super cool about Kyle's package is that it will allow you to install all of these lights using the controller, and gives you 2 banks left over to be able to use for the wheel lights. So you can control every light through one controller and one remote, and I like that. So I don't have to worry about 2 remotes and trying to use a separate controller. Everything is done together. So I will be, at some point, we'll be picking up the wheel lights to install, and we'll see how those work. I know he told me today that he's talking with some new distributors and some new manufacturers. So the wheel lights are what's really going to finish all this out, and as soon as I can save some more money, that's probably what I'll get, and then I can start working on some other things as time progresses. So in a quick recap, your pros of the pros that you have with going with Light Your Slings are: you're going to get excellent customer service, you're going to get, so far, an excellent product, you're going to get a great cost, because like I said, if you can catch one of the times where he's doing a 20% sale, he does that a couple times a year, you can go in, snag some lights at 20% off. That's a huge deal, especially when you order a couple $100 worth of stuff at a time. That the cost is amazing. Some of the cons, and we talked about it, and are being fixed, are the instructions, how difficult they are to understand. That's being revamped, and really that's really the only con of this whole company that I can find is that. So once that gets resolved and you guys get a chance to see that, I think you're going to be super happy with the product and with the company. Some of the things that you're gonna want to have to get these lights installed are jacks, floor jacks, some wire loom, have that handy, some wire ties. No need to go out and buy anything else. I bought a bunch of solder connectors because I thought I was going to be able to use those, but it's all plug and play. And something else that you should probably grab is pick up some, from my personal opinion, pick up some 3M electrical tape. My favorite is the Super 33. It has a yellow core in the middle. I've used 3M Super 33 for years, for probably going on 15 years, maybe even 20 years, and it's the best electrical tape I have ever found in the market. It doesn't crack or get hard or break during weather changes, and it's the stickiest electrical tape that I've ever used in my entire life. So moving forward, if you can find those, I know I picked up a roll at Ace Hardware. It's a little expensive. It's about $8 a roll, but it lasts forever, and it really is the best that you can buy. So thank you all for letting me ramble for 25 or plus minutes, or however long this video is going to be. if you're in the Colorado area, if you're in Texas, Kansas, Wyoming, it doesn't even matter. Nevada, Utah, if you guys are not doing anything and you want to come out and ride with us, we are having Slingshot in the Rockies. It is the last week, I believe, of July. It is not too late to register. I will put the registration link at the bottom of this, and you guys can come check it out. We really need some great participation this year so that we can ensure that they will come back next year. There's going to be some great rides. There's going to be some awesome vendors, and it's going to be some. It's going to give you guys a chance to look at things that other people have purchased and put on their Slingshots that you may be interested in doing yourself.